Step right onto the sweltering practice fields of East Rutherford, New Jersey, and I promise you, you could literally feel the tension radiating straight off the turf. The New York Giants are deep into the grind of training camp. And listen, while the heat of that late summer sun is absolutely oppressive, it honestly pales in comparison to the glaring, unforgiving, white-hot spotlight currently fixed on one single position: the quarterback. In this explainer, we are going completely beyond the generic daily practice reports. We are taking a deep dive into a historic franchise that is currently caught in a massive, high-stakes tug of war. On one side, you have this profound, roster-building optimism. But on the exact opposite side, you have a potentially catastrophic flaw at the absolute most important position in professional sports. This is the real story of the 2026 Giants. It's a team desperately trying to outrun a full-blown quarterback crisis by leaning heavily on the sudden, explosive arrival of a brand-new rookie cavalry. To really wrap our heads around the true severity of the situation brewing in New York, we have to look at exactly how Jackson Dart is being evaluated right now by some of the sharpest analytical minds in the game. You have to hear this completely devastating critique from ESPN NFL analyst Ben Solak. He writes, quote, "Dart is an extremely frustrating watch. His lower body mechanics change willy-nilly, and he often looks like a kid alone on a basketball court attempting pretend buzzer beaters, lurching to launch from odd angles for no apparent reason." Let that sink in for a second. That is not just a casual passing observation from a local beat reporter. That is a brutal, cinematic indictment of a professional quarterback's fundamental, foundational process. To be compared to a kid playing make-believe in an empty gym while you are supposed to be leading a historic NFL franchise, that highlights a profound, alarming lack of discipline. It shows a complete breakdown of structure in his game at a time when he should be taking absolute command of the offense.
Which naturally leads us to the absolute most urgent question hovering like a massive dark cloud over the Giants facility right now. Is their franchise quarterback already unraveling right before our very eyes? Remember the context here. John Harbaugh was brought in to rebuild this team with a very specific, uncompromising vision. Harbaugh's entire legacy, his entire reputation in this league, is built on military-grade discipline. It's built on instilling toughness, deep accountability, and absolute precision. But you just cannot execute a reliable Harbaugh-style NFL offense if the man touching the ball on every single snap is operating on a whim. The stakes here are just astronomical. We are talking about a head coach's early tenure, a general manager's long-term job security, and the entire trajectory of a legendary franchise over the next 5 years. All of it hinges entirely on whether this young signal caller can somehow salvage his fundamental mechanics before the regular season officially kicks off.
So let's really break down the anatomy of what makes Dart such a frustrating watch. We need to dissect exactly why the offensive gears are grinding to a screeching halt in practice. We can't just say he's struggling and move on, right? We need to understand the structural collapse that is actively happening inside the pocket. You have to remember, Dart isn't a raw, starry-eyed rookie just learning a professional playbook for the first time. He has real experience. He has seen live NFL bullets flying at him. He's faced top-tier, aggressive defensive coordinators. Yet, the foundational elements of his footwork, his pocket presence, and his timing are being called into serious question at the exact moment when they should be solidifying into permanent muscle memory. Let's also not forget the immense, franchise-altering capital this front office invested in him. Jackson Dart was the 25th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Think about what that means. You do not spend a first-round pick on a quarterback unless you firmly, unequivocally believe he's the future of your organization for the next decade. He was handed the keys to the franchise early, starting 12 games in his rookie season. And look, he experienced the natural challenges, right? The massive jump in the speed of the game, the growing pains any rookie goes through. He posted a reasonable first season for a team undergoing a total rebuild. But here is the harsh reality of the National Football League. The grace period of being a rookie is completely over. The expectation in year 2 is a massive, noticeable leap in processing speed and mental maturity. And right now, all the reports out of camp indicate a really dangerous regression into chaotic, unscripted habits. When we look incredibly closely at Solak's specific mechanical breakdown, the red flags become truly alarming for anyone who understands how NFL offensive design actually works. Solak points out that Dart's feet are frequently disconnected from the ground. Now, why does that matter? In the NFL, if your feet aren't perfectly married to your eyes, your timing is instantly destroyed. An entire passing concept is meticulously timed to the quarterback's drop back. 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps. The receiver is making his break based on those exact steps. So this footwork disconnect causes a fatal delay in Dart's reaction to pressure. Instead of stepping up or sliding in the pocket with calm purpose to buy a half second of time, his lower body mechanics just become entirely erratic. When an offensive line busts their chops to block for a highly orchestrated timing route, and the quarterback is busy launching the ball from odd, off-balance angles for absolutely no reason, the entire structure of the play just collapses. It invites brutal drive-killing sacks, it invites costly turnovers, and honestly, it breeds a highly toxic frustration across the entire offensive unit. But this is where the story gets fascinating, because it is a true tale of two drafts. Just as the narrative around the Giants seems entirely consumed by this suffocating, heavy quarterback anxiety, you take a quick walk to the other side of the practice field, and the atmosphere completely and totally shifts. If the 2025 first-round pick is the source of all the stress and impending doom right now, the 2026 first-round draft class has suddenly arrived like a burst of pure, unadulterated adrenaline straight to the heart of this franchise. You can feel it. The energy changes. The pace of practice quickens. I mean, even the physical collisions just sound different when these new guys step onto the grass.
The ultimate contrast to finding this specific training camp is incredibly stark. On one hand, you have the paralyzing, quiet anxiety surrounding Dart's inconsistent, disconnected process. It's like every single drop back holds the entire team's breath, just bracing for a critical mistake. But on the other hand, you have the sudden, explosive, and frankly joyful professionalism of the newest rookies. You know, it is incredibly rare in the National Football League for rookies to be tasked with setting the cultural tone for an entire franchise while their quarterback tries to find his footing. But that is exactly what is happening in East Rutherford. These aren't just fringe guys trying to scrape by and make the bottom of the 53-man roster. These are foundational pillars who are already acting like 10-year, battle-tested veterans. They are shifting the culture of the team in real time, bringing a desperately needed jolt of swagger and confidence to a franchise desperately searching for an identity.
So let's meet the first half of this rookie cavalry coming to save the day. Over on the defensive side of the ball, one name is constantly echoing across the practice fields with a massive surge of momentum: Arvell Reese. He isn't just turning a few heads in drills, he is flat out dominating early camp practices. From the absolute second he put on that Giants cap on draft day, the expectations were sky high. And somehow, defying all logic and reason for a first-year player learning a pro defense, he is already blowing past them. You have to respect the pedigree here. The Giants drafted Arvell Reese with a number 5 overall pick out of Ohio State. Really let that sink in for a moment. Top 5. That is elite, blue-chip, potential gold jacket territory right there. When a general manager drafts a linebacker that exceptionally high in today's modern NFL, they aren't just looking for a solid starter to plug into a nice rotation. They are drafting a defensive cornerstone for the next decade. They expect an immediate, visceral, game-wrecking impact. They want a player who can step into the absolute middle of the field and dictate the terms of engagement to the opposing offense from day one. And when you look closely at his physical profile, you instantly see why he was taken 5th overall. It's a cheat code. Reese is a towering presence at 6'4", armed with a massive 32.5-inch arm length. Think about how modern NFL offenses operate today. They are entirely designed around using athletic tight ends and speedy running backs in space to create massive mismatches against lower linebackers. Well, Reese's frame makes him an absolute nightmare in coverage against those exact schemes. He is incredibly fast sideline to sideline. He's violently physical at the point of attack against the run. And those remarkably long arms allow him to disrupt passing lanes, tip balls at the line of scrimmage, and suffocate tight ends in ways most normal linebackers simply cannot physically match. He is a modern, positionless defensive weapon built specifically to completely destroy modern offensive coordinators' game plans. But as any scout will tell you, physical traits are only half the battle in the National Football League. What is truly staggering about Reese is how incredibly fast he is processing the game at the professional level. Listen to head coach John Harbaugh. Now, Harbaugh is a man notorious around the league for being incredibly demanding. He does not throw around cheap praise, especially to rookies who haven't played a real down yet. But Harbaugh noted that Reese is incredibly sharp, stating firmly on the record, quote, "He gets things right pretty much all the time, makes very few mistakes." For a rookie linebacker tasked with reading highly complex NFL offenses, making the right pre-snap adjustments for the entire defense, and playing at relentless full-throttle game speed, to make very few mistakes in your very first training camp, that is almost unheard of. It points to a terrifyingly high football IQ that usually takes years to develop. These seasoned, battle-tested veterans on the defense are seeing it unfold right in front of them too. Take veteran defensive lineman DJ Reader. This is a guy who has been in the absolute brutal trenches of this league for a long time. He's played in massive, high-stakes games. He's seen some of the best freak athletes on the planet up close and personal. And even he is openly in awe of the rookie. Reader said, quote, "Kid has a real chance to be special.
You don't really get a chance to see kids that size move around like how he does at every different position, really run around and be smart. When a seasoned, grizzled veteran like Reeder looks at a 21-year-old rookie and openly admits he hasn't seen movement like that before, you know deep down you have a genuine freak of nature on your hands. And it's not just the defensive side of the ball taking notice. The Giants' offense is feeling his impact physically, every single day in practice. Running back Tyrone Tracy Jr., who has the highly unenviable task of having to actually face Reese head-on in full-contact Oklahoma drills, summed up the rookie's relentless attacking mentality perfectly. He said, quote, "I think Arvell is see ball, get ball. He's going to run fast, he's going to hit hard, and he's going to be around the ball at all times. Quick, violently physical, and possessing ridiculous natural instincts. Reese is already proving he doesn't just belong on the NFL stage, he fully intends to own it." Now, let's pivot and transition over to the offensive side of the ball. Because if Arvell Reese is the undeniable answer on defense, the Giants desperately, absolutely needed a massive enforcer to protect their struggling quarterback. Enter Francis CC Mayugoa. Everyone knows the battle in the trenches is exactly where grimy NFL games in November and December are won and lost in the fourth quarter. Well, Mayugoa has arrived in New York with a singular, highly focused mission of bullying the opposition and setting a violently physical tone for John Harbaugh's new rushing attack. But we really need to talk about the context of his arrival, because the pressure on my ego is uniquely intense, entirely because of how he got here. He was the 10th overall pick in the draft, but crucially, you have to remember this was the specific draft asset the Giants acquired as part of the blockbuster Dexter Lawrence trade. Think about the gravity of that. When you trade away a generational defensive talent like Lawrence, a cornerstone player deeply beloved by the entire New York fan base, the player you select with that acquired pick carries the immense, crushing weight of a franchise's legacy squarely on his shoulders. If my ego fails, that trade is viewed in the history books as an unmitigated disaster. But if he succeeds, he completely justifies the entire controversial restructuring of the New York roster. So how exactly is the former Miami Hurricane handling that crushing franchise-altering pressure in the media capital of the world? By smiling constantly, completely dominating the line of scrimmage, and overpowering grown men. Mayugoa is heavily described by scouts as heavy-handed and wildly exceptionally powerful. Yet he brings this infectious, genuinely joyful energy to the grueling, sweaty practice field every single day. And the craziest part? He's doing all of this at just 21 years old. He's bringing a level of pure, unadulterated, competitive fire that is forcing everyone around him, even the oldest, most cynical, tenured veterans on the squad, to step up and match his intensity on every single rep. And you really don't have to take my word for it. Just ask Andrew Thomas, the Giants' all-pro left tackle and the undisputed anchor of this offensive line. Thomas is a guy who evaluates offensive line play at the highest possible professional level, and he is absolutely blown away by Mayugoa's poise. Thomas said, quote, "To be a rookie, like he's in tune to his assignments. He has really good technique. Obviously, he has the physical traits. It's been exciting to see him put it together so far." For a rookie tackle to step into the complex NFL game, dealing with blindingly fast edge rushers, and already have his technique validated by an all-pro left tackle, that is a massive testament to his relentless preparation and film study. But it's actually what Mayugoa is doing before the ball is even snapped that might be the most impressive thing of all. Offensive tackle Jermaine Aluamunor, who lines up directly next to the rookie on the right side of the line, pointed out something truly extraordinary about his demeanor. Aluamunor said, quote, "He holds everyone accountable. You can tell that he has that leadership trait that is rare in a young guy his age." Really think about that dynamic. A 21-year-old rookie, drafted exactly 10th overall, is stepping into an NFL huddle, looking around at grown men, veterans who've been cashing NFL paychecks for years, and holding them accountable for their mistakes. That is a massive culture-shifting presence. The sky is genuinely the limit for this kid. So now, taking all of this in, we have to zoom out and look at the grand, highly complex puzzle John Harbaugh is desperately trying to put together. We have these two incredibly conflicting, wildly different realities happening on the exact same patch of practice field. On one hand, we have an elite rookie class that looks completely undoubtedly ready to take the league by storm. They're bringing raw physical power, incredibly high football IQs, and a rare, accountable leadership. But right alongside them, we have a sophomore quarterback who is drawing intense, withering national criticism for looking disconnected, chaotic, and completely lost in the pocket. Which brings us to the ultimate franchise question: rebuild or ruin? When you put these two stark realities side by side, it reveals the brutal underlying tension of the Giants' current era. On one side of the ledger, you are actively, successfully constructing an elite foundation. Arvell Reese and Francis Mayugoa represent precisely what you want in a modern NFL roster.
Violent, smart, culture-setting cornerstones drafted in the top 10 who execute their jobs flawlessly. But on the exact opposite side, you have the glaring, undeniable, and potentially fatal vulnerabilities of Jackson Dart. Here's the cold, hard truth of the NFL. You can have an all-pro left tackle. You can have a phenomenal, dominant rookie right tackle in Maui Goa. You can have a terrifying, suffocating defense led by Reese. But if the man operating the offense is constantly lurching from odd angles, abandoning his footwork, and ignoring his timing, the entire multi-million-dollar machine breaks down. It is a masterpiece of a roster that might be completely, utterly sabotaged by a massive flaw at the most important position on the field.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought to carry into this highly anticipated 2026 season. Can the sheer dominance, the infectious energy, and the sweeping culture shift brought by these two rookie cornerstones actually mask the deep mechanical flaws of a struggling sophomore quarterback? Can Francis Mauigoa anchor that line and buy Jackson Dart enough time to finally settle his disconnected feet and calm his mind? Can Arvell Reese wreck opposing game plans and get the ball back to the offense enough times to hide their inefficiency? Or will Dart's mechanical unraveling drag this incredibly promising, deeply talented young core down with him? The answers to those questions won't just define a single season. They will dictate the entire future of New York football for years to come. Thank you for diving deep into this explainer with us right here on NFL Nexus. If you want more of these cinematic, hard-hitting breakdowns of the stories actually shaping the league, make sure you hit that subscribe button to the channel right now. Drop a comment down below and let us know if you think Jackson Dart can actually turn it around or if the Giants need to start looking elsewhere. And hey, show your support by becoming a channel member today. We'll see you in the next one.